Welcome back to another episode of the Real Table Podcast with your host, Michael Carter. And it is great to be here. And this is the moment we've been waiting for. This is the pod episode we've been waiting for the past 7 weeks. And we finally hear the Penguins Season 1 finale. My Lord. Who initial reactions? Who wants to go first? Joe, you want to go first? Go ahead.
Dude, I thought it was great. And it had some of the cinematography, man. It was just on point. Costumes on point.
So
dialogue. Good. And I think the biggest surprise for me was that some of the things that I had predicted several episodes ago, happened. I just couldn't believe it. I think I'm not too good with that when it comes to movies and TV shows, but the fact that I think I kind of 4 things that I kind of predicted ended up happening. I was like, I can't believe this, but awesome episode. I don't think there was a single thing I would have changed about it.
All right. Corn, what you got?
All this information correctly. So first and foremost, I want to shout out Jennifer Getzinger, director of episode 8. 100 out of 10. Magnificent. The composer, Mick Giacchino. I know it's Italian. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name. Music composer.
Yes, sir.
100 out of 10. Shout out Zoe White, cinematographer on season 8. 100 out of 10. Shout out Kalina Ivanov, the production designer. 100 out of 10.
Yeah.
I could go and do all the art directors and the makeup department and the production managers, or you could just go to IMDb and read it yourself. But nah, man, this episode was fantastic, bro. And I texted y'all as soon as I got done with that first scene, because it was just so powerful, bro. It just started off so crazy that I got goosebumps. Yeah. I was really like, yo, everybody acting, everybody acting, it's gonna be so tough at the end or during award season, because supporting cast members, leading cast members, everybody bodied their characters, bro.
Yep.
To the point where this show does set precedent for, villain origin stories. It does. At least if you're gonna do a TV show, you got to step now. Because this was just a masterclass from start to finish. I think we've been saying that every episode starts off very, very well. And for them to have a 10-15 minute scene was just oh yeah. They're in a bag. They're in a different type of bag right now. It was just a phenomenal episode.
And I think to that note, one thing they've done well with that is the decision on when to put the title card each episode. Every single time they put the title card, it's always been at just the right moment, and it just lands and it hits, and it's last episode I think it was one where we learned about his brothers, and then it was just showed when it showed the water just pouring out the door, and it's just amusing just as the Penguin. And then this coming on the heels of where Vic was last episode, but all the way up to the title card, man. I think the only other show that's really done it well, there's a lot of shows that have done it well, but where it hits is just Invincible.
I was gonna say Invincible.
I think Invincible and this are probably the top 2 that I've ever seen so far in shows.
I don't know if y'all watched the Fallout TV show, but Fallout also did something similar where it would say Fallout, and every episode it would burn, or it would burn away, or it would crumble away, or it would acid away.
Yeah.
The word Fallout. So I've started to see, the creativity with the title cards too. And I agree, bro. Today you just saw the red penguin after that scene, and then it just click, and then it's just a window, and then it fades into the entire screen. And it's bro, those decisions, that type of editing, just the small things, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I mean when I say this sets precedent. From episode 1 all the way to the finale, they just cared about the small details, bro. From the color choices to the mood to how they're going to portray certain characters in the light and the dark. Like they just made very, very conscious decisions, and it just shows like it's masterfully done, bro. Like if you don't know none about Penguin or none about none of this, never read a comic book, and you just were to watch this show, you would enjoy it because it just seems like a regular mafioso show.
Yeah,
you can learn about what's going on through each episode, so you can kind of figure it out as you're piecing it together. So it's like, for someone that's a nerd like me versus someone who might just be looking for a cool show to watch, it captures everyone. So that's like I said, it's just masterfully done. This episode was great, man.
This episode was so good. It was so good. It felt like they put everything into this finale to really not leave anything too open or have too many questions. It's like they really put a bow on this, and I don't know, man. I was sitting with this today at work. I might put it as it might be the top comic book show out there. It might. It's up
there.
It might. If not top, it could be at least top 3. At least. From just a creative point to a storytelling point, from start to finish. Like, my one friend texted me and he was like, it's been a long time since I've seen a show that's wrapped up the story like that at the end of the season. And just the brilliance behind the creative team throughout this whole show has just been phenomenal. But
because one thing I was thinking about, if I had to sum up this season in a single sentence, and this is kind of like an umbrella statement because it could be applied to different characters, but it would be, you can play a beautiful game, but sometimes you still lose. Because there were so many stakes and so many characters they won, and maybe they won at different parts in the season, but at the end, or what they lost, I mean, it's just, everyone, Salvatore, Oz, Vic, Sophia, there's so many characters that had a lot on the line, and so many pieces moving, and then at the end, it's like, where you see where they all are at the end of the episode, you're like, man, that's great in some aspects, but man, that also just like, even his mom, it's just
yeah.
It's just great.
Yep. All right, let's get to it. The opening of the episode. Was not expecting this. Was not expecting them to go into the past, but this was beautifully done. Like I kept asking myself questions, trying to make sure I understand what was happening. But it opens with the red light, and so Rush is doing that whole experiment on his mom, and we're back in the past. And at first, when she gets up, it's the current version of his mother. And then when she looks into the mirror, it's her younger self, and I go, interesting. And from here, I'm like, I'm trying to piece it together, and then I have to go back, and I was like, oh yeah, the red light. I was like, she's going through this whole procedure or experiment, I should say, and they're trying to get and pull stuff out of her. What were your thoughts on this whole little sequence? And plus, also, we found out that she already knew, and then she tried to have him killed, and then the last second she hit a strong pivot and was like, all right, I'm gonna use this, to her advantage, so for herself. So what do y'all think about that?
I thought it was well done. I thought it was a good creative decision to do it that way, because a lot of times, in situations like that, we have to remember, this is their past, and this is what they're living through, and then it will at some point jump forward, and we'll see how they're dealing with it, or how they processed it in the moment. But the decision to make it like his mom currently, and then her going back, we see how she's processing it all the way up to this point, and how she's thinking back over all the decisions that she's made, and like, especially that scene where it's like it just shows how like crazy like that kid was, you know. Where he's like, she's like, I know you miss him, Mom. I miss him too. And he turns around and smiles, and she's looking like,
Bro.
how, like, what, like, because go into what you said, she knew the whole time. So for him to just say, I know you miss him too. And she's like, this was all your fault. And the fact that you're just sitting here acting like nothing happened and you didn't do it. I mean, it was just, I'm like, man, this kid's creepy, you know?
Chilling.
Yeah, it's like I like the fact that you said I like the style choice, because I mean they made a few style choices that I rock with. First and foremost, the red light. And I mean I don't know, but like if you peep, like the red theme was throughout the entire episode. You know, whether it was Sophia with the red scarf and the red bottoms, or her with the red fur at the end, like that little fur jacket. It was just like a whole bunch of red. And you can kind of tell, like, well, like at least for me, like I always like I've seen that this show, they've made very, very strong decisions on colors. Like Sophia showing up in that yellow dress, you know what I mean? Like her showing up in the red, you know, just like, because the show it's set in Gotham, so it's kind of monotone. Like they kind of set, I wouldn't call it grayscale, but a lot of the sets are very like dark blues and dark browns, and it's set at nighttime, and it's like, you know, these greens and these sepia type views. So whenever they make like a strong color, I'm always like, you know, I'm always reactive to color, so I'm always looking at that like, oh, okay, like everything else is like kind of dull except this is super bright. So why are they doing
kind of like Sin City, you know?
Exactly like Sin City. You know, in Sin City, again, it's a comic book, so they make those choices kind of on purpose, where a lot of it's black and white, but if it's color, it's gonna pop. You know what I mean? So it's just like something that I've realized that comic book shows do when they're set, you know, in live action, and I really like that, because I don't know, it's just something that is visually appealing to me. But as far as like the style choices, they chose to show. So, like, I think in episode 7, or maybe it was episode 6, I can't remember which episode it was, when they did a flashback, you saw the same scene where, you know, the mom's like, hey, let's go dancing.
Right,
But we ain't know what we know now, you know what I'm saying? So now we're seeing the same scene, but we're seeing him say, hey, Ma, I'll take care of you. And now we see her perspective, and she like, you little, you know what I'm saying? Like, so we're seeing, and that was so dope to me, because the whole time in the movie or in the show, we don't know if she knows. We think she has dementia. We think she crazy. We out here like, oh, she doesn't know what happened to her boys. Whole time she's been in the know. So it's like, so like now we look at his mom as a totally different character. Dude. You know, like before we looked at her as like this old, like, you know, not necessarily decrepit, but deteriorating lady that, you know, has to hang on to Oz, and he's giving her these false promises, and she believes them. Where in that's not been the case, bro. No. So for them to show us that scene again from her perspective, and now as an audience, we know what she know. I was like, yo. And that's why I texted y'all like, nah, if this how the episode's starting off, this about to go crazy, because I literally was sitting there with chills like, dog, she knew, dude. Like that opening scene with Rex was so strong, and her acting chops were, she was like, I don't want to pay for that, because I know what happened, and I feel bad as a mother, like I just thought of any parent, like how, like what they would feel in that situation. She was like, I'm living with the devil, like he killed his brothers because he wanted to be closer to me. Do you know what that makes me feel like? Right. And it's like, not, I could only empathize, but it was just like, yo, this is real. Like, this is like a real conversation that, you know, like, shout out to the writers, because I'm sitting there like, I know this fake, but I feel her. Like, I feel her as a mother. I was like, yo, this is such a powerful scene. I don't even know where we gonna go after this, because this is crazy. Like, I mean, the way they faded it into the penguin, like you said, I just said, yo, man, this is honestly, it was a masterclass.
Because, you know, to bring it back like full circle, it also changed the way I viewed the story about Rex that Oz told at the first episode. It's like, oh, this guy, you know, he knew everybody's name, and could you imagine being remembered like this? I'm like, dude, you were this close to being killed by that guy, and you had no idea, but somehow, and then the interactions we've had with Rex, like last episode and this one, it's like, I don't understand like it plays into, like, especially to the end of the episode, just how deluded Oz is about like everything, because it's like I don't see anywhere where that view of Rex could have like formed in his head. Like there's absolutely nothing that's happened with Rex that we've seen that would make me believe that, you know, he was some like upstanding figure in the community and everybody loved him and threw a parade. And the fact that his mom knew Rex somehow, like she was working for him or something, I'm like, you know what I mean? It just he wasn't just some random guy that was like big time in his neighborhood. It's like he had connections to Oz's mom and was offering to kill him, and he just had no idea.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. It's so wild, man. This show, like, you know, to that same effect, like this show had a very, very, very good job of disguising things. Like, you know, like they waited until the very end to reveal certain things. You know,
right?
So it's like, and not a lot of, and shows aren't really good at doing that. You can kind of follow the steps, and even to your point, you did call out a few things. You know, from week 2 or 3 when we started giving predictions on who we thought we would see, or, you know, we can talk about that later, if we'd see Batman or the Bat Sign or, you know, something. Right. And even with us still speculating, getting certain stuff right, I got certain stuff wrong too. I was like, oh, whoa, like this is, dang, all right, episode 8 starting like this, dang, all right, whatever, let's go. Like, so it was very good in you know, kind of leading you one way, knowing that at the end they were going to pull the okey doke and kind of reveal something out this trap door. So that was cool.
Yep. And I love, like, even after that whole first scene, it makes sense why they started with that, because as we go into that next scene, that's where we really pick back up from the last episode, seeing Oz get knocked out by that detective. And this is just as good as the opening. Like, this is some secrets are revealed. Some things are said. I never seen Oz like this before. He was grappling for his life. He was really, like, I was like, this dude, he got tears in his eyes. He's like, don't touch my mom, don't touch my mom, don't touch my mom. And I thought, like, going into this, I'm like, oh, Sophia's gonna put the hands, she gonna have one of her guys put the hands to him. But she's so calculated, she's so smart. She's like, I ain't gonna have to put hands on you. I'm gonna let y'all duke this out, because y'all inner pain, that's where it really, that's where that your past, that's where it's really gonna get you going. So I loved watching that, because I'm like, she's not gonna put the hands on them at all. Nobody's gonna put the hands. I was like, she's forcing them to really come face to face with the things that they have not talked about the two brothers dying and stuff like that. So this scene, let's talk about it. Like, what was y'all reactions to this scene?
I mean, I like how they a lot of what they did in the show goes against a lot of the tropes that we see, because I thought Oz was gonna be like emotionally shattered. I thought he was gonna. Pardon me. I thought he was gonna snap. I thought he was gonna kill his mom, because I thought she was gonna be.
Say that.
I thought for sure his mom was gonna die, and then he was just gonna not have any attachments to anything, you know. But I thought hearing his mom talk about how she's always like, that was a twist. I was like, whoa, his mom just like, because last episode Sophia was like, she said something like, okay, the episode before the episode 6, she's clapping, cheering, oh, Oz, he got the lights back on, all this. Next episode, Sophia has his mom, and Sophia's talking to her, and she's like, oh, you have a lot of confidence in your son, don't you? She's like, yes, I do. I'm like, all right. And then we find out that she knew Oz had killed his brothers this whole time.
That's what I'm saying.
And then she
like,
unloads and says, I hate you. I've always hated you. She called him a spineless prick. I was like, oh, he's gonna just get up and strangle her and kill her. And they're gonna be like, whoa, dude, you killed your own mom? Because he does things a lot of, like, all the way back into the Batman impulsively. Like, you say the wrong thing, he can't stand it, you know? But he didn't. And then the fact that, like, he was going to let her get her finger chopped off because he just didn't want to admit that he did it. He was like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. You're dementia. I was like, bro. What's wrong with you? Just say you did it. Because I thought, again, with the trope, okay, he's going to deny it, get to the point where he breaks and he just admits to everything. But he just kept going. I was like, oh, okay, I guess we're not doing this, you know?
So to that point, like literally that. So let me rewind. To that point, I think that was on purpose. I saw a tweet today, literally before we hopped on today, that said that it was Colin Farrell's, like a 20-second clip on Twitter.
Yeah.
Or on X. And it was him, and he said, I would be surprised. He's like, the first couple of episodes, I can understand if you sympathize with Oz, but I would be surprised if by the end of episode 8, anyone feels bad for this guy. And I think that scene specifically was to show that the Penguin, or at least this iteration of the Penguin, is a sociopath.
Yeah.
Like, the guy is, like, there's something off with him.
Yep.
Like, even Sophia kind of says that at the end of the, like at the end of the episode where they go on their drive, and she's like, yeah, whatever you need to tell yourself to make you feel good. Because you literally are like your mom's, I thought his mom's finger was coming off, bro.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, he's not gonna do it. At a certain point, I was like, oh no, this dude isn't gonna do it. Yeah. Like, he's just not gonna do it.
Because then the scene comes right after the whole thing with him as a kid in the club. Do we see him as a kid? Oh, hey, Mom, I miss him too. And then it fast forward to the present day. So I absolutely agree with you that, like, it doesn't surprise me in retrospect.
It's crazy.
Like, they showed us 2 instances all the way back to when he was a kid where he wouldn't admit it. He wouldn't fess up to anything. And then, his mom, told Rex, he said, Rex, like, he said you won't talk to him, won't look him in the eye. And it's like, he never didn't seem to question why she wouldn't do that. Didn't seem to understand. Then immediately after that, his mom's fingers getting cut off, and he just, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't do anything. I was like,
right.
So I agree. I don't think I don't think I could sympathize with, and it only gets worse from there. So,
I think that's what this show, and I agree, man. The first few episodes, you're like, oh, this is like a family man. He's doing this, to dedicate, and then as he starts making these specific choices, you're like, no, he's just like a finesser for real.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, he just trying to get what he wants, and he doesn't really care how he gets there. And once he gets himself trapped in one corner, he's going to dig himself a hole under that wall and then find a new corner to run himself into, because that's what rats do. That's what they do. They find their way out of the corner, but into another corner. Yeah. And that's what he's doing, bro. And he goes from one corner to the next until his back is against the wall, and then he somehow finds a way out. And it's and this episode showed it, man. Like, even in that scene, I'm like, there's no way he gets out of here. And then he has this superhuman strength out of nowhere, breaks out the chair where he wasn't able to the first few times, I guess, after he was stabbed by his mom.
He said, you touching my...
I'm like, what's going on? He got out?
He said, you still touching my mom?
And he was still like, Mom, I'll take care of you. I'm like, dude, she just said she hated your cuts, and you just don't...
sociopath. He was trying to... He was literally there like, no, Mom, like, you don't know that's true. That's your dementia talking. You crazy. What? Nah. What?
I feel like Oz, like, put himself in the sunken place, and then he's just, like, coasting. You know what I mean? Like, his real, actual, empathetic self is in the sunken place, and he's just taking over, like, just coming up with his own fantasy.
I ain't even gonna lie. He had me sitting there going, maybe his mom actually is crazy, and he didn't actually do this. Maybe he's like, I'm like, maybe.
Wait, at which point in time? Which point in time?
When he's talking to her, he's like, no, Ma, come on. He's like, what are you talking about?
That's not true.
I know. I was playing. It was my own fault.
You got
I'm
caught
sitting there. I'm like, wait a
man.
second. And I was like, wait, nah, come on, Mike, come on,
he was stringing suicides, talking about his brother in like the first episodes. I know. This can't be true.
I know.
Literally,
though. Like maybe my man Oz is actually different. Maybe he not what I think he is. No,
he's different. All right. He's definitely different.
Man.
He's definitely different.
But the thing that's so frustrating, not frustrating, but like that I just can't believe, to your rat comment, it was just like it's kind of a trope, at this point in like everything, and everybody does it, but it's like, how many times could somebody have simply just shot Oz and then been done with it? But they want to make him hurt. They want to, like, hey, Sophia wants to see you. I'm taking you to her, like hitting him with the golf club and all this. Dude, just pop him and then you'll be done. But they just don't do it. And then he figures a way he finds another hole to escape to. And it's just, I'm like, all these people,
yes,
like, they could have just shot Oz like 10 times over in every episode, and they just don't, and then that's it.
And that's my problem with Sophia at the end of the day. I think she's playing too much.
She was playing a lot.
She was playing way too much,
Typical
and she got too comfortable, and she didn't finish the deal. She didn't finish the deal. And so she was like, I'm leaving all this, and I'm going. Who wants it? And then I feel like she made a big spectacle of it. And I'm like, girl, you got finessed again. And you end up back behind the bars in Arkham.
Some deal. Okay, you can have all my stuff, but I'm going to burn it first. So
right.
Like,
and then I'm going to burn. Right. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. But
it's
around.
Just like going back to what I said. It's like, okay, what was it? Episode 2. She could have gone to Italy, bro. She could have been in it. She could have been in Italy, and then now after all this, she decides she's leaving. It was like, dude, you could have been gone.
Her uncle said that. Her uncle was like, hey, get out of here.
Could have been in California, bro.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
So it's like all these. I think it just speaks to all these characters not wanting to own up to their decisions. I think I said that last episode, and this just doubled down on it. It's like you made decisions, and you just gotta just accept the fact that you made some bad decisions, and what can I say?
Yeah, you gotta own up to that L. Just own up to that L.
On to the L.
Yeah,
that's but that is what it is though. The rich and powerful never really actually own up to their mistakes, right?
No, never.
That also is a trope, like the rich and powerful think they can get away with it, and then when it doesn't happen their way, they blame everything but themselves. So it's like you see that.
That's good.
Whether you're living in the underworld or you're in the rich and powerful in this universe, like you really are just a slave to your own mistakes. And a lot of the times you might not initially get the brunt of the consequence, but you keep doing the same things, you're going to eventually run into a wall. And we got to see that here, honestly.
It's not about what you do, it's how you look. Because that's what the councilman said. Dude, you got to look clean. He never said stop doing what you're doing. He said you just got to look clean.
Yeah.
And then, of course, to your point, about not taking accountability, scapegoats, the fact that he just went in there. Oh, you'll find Sophia's car down there with Salvatore Maroni, and she just blew it up. And I mean, she did blow it up, and Salvatore is there. But like the fact that
she blew
at the right moment at the right time,
city,
you're just throwing it. Oh, the crime family. They're it's like nobody knows the truth except for him. Then nobody knows that they made an alliance and they were there to stop him. He's just because he never questioned it. He's like, what kind of answers? Like the truth. He's like, how do you know that? I was like, well, he never said because I was there because I was part of it. He just said, you'll find the car, you'll find the bodies, and it is what it looks like. And I'm like, dude. And then he goes to the hospital, tells his mom, look at all that BS I told him, and he's just spitting it out. Like, look at that. It's just like you said, it's just about not taking accountability. But I'm like, hey, if I can spin it a certain way to deflect off of me and throw it on somebody else, they'll he's been doing that since the first episode. Hey, we'll just put Berto in the car and make it look like it's from the Maronis. He has his ring back, And what was that at the Gold Summit? Okay, so what? Yeah, I killed Alberto. Yeah, I've done some things. And I'm like, dude, you can't just blow it off like it's no big deal,
And this is what I was referring to like when I made that rat comment. I mean, we've seen it's been 8 episodes, and it seems every episode or every other episode, he's doing something to stab somebody else in the back.
Yes,
and then also convince the new partner that he won't do them to them what he just did to his last partner.
Yeah,
and then he has to go to partner 3 because partner 1 and 2 have already been stabbed in the back. But now partner 4 already knows that partners 1, 2, and 3 have been stabbed in the back, and partners 1, 2, and 3 have now teamed up to beat 4 and you. So now we have to get a 5th partner who we don't even know if we're gonna stab him in the back, but we need him just for optics. And it's like, dude, when are they gonna learn?
That's what I thought. Because I'm like, because I was thinking the same thing. I was scratching my head and I said, okay, Batman Part 2, this ends. But I'm like, isn't Link gonna ask where Victor is? Where are none of these guys? Dude, none of these guys. Like, Victor was your right hand man. He was rolling around. I was just calling Vic on the phone to come get you from Zao or whatever. So he's trying to get you Sophia. Now Vic's just gone. Like, where did he go, Oz? Oh, you know,
he gonna ask, obviously, but
I'm
then
like, dude,
Link knows how the game is played, and you just
mean,
go,
he knows how-
don't
but
ask
then
no
how does he know?
questions.
It's like, when's it gonna be me? Like, when's it gonna be my turn?
True.
You know,
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're playing these games. Oh,
Yep.
I just popped out. All these other guys, they pop their bosses.
Yeah.
Oh, you know, Oz, you're just killing Vic left and right. You're doing all this stuff. Zhao said at the Gold Summit, Oz, he's a liar. He's a cheater. He'll stab me in the back. You know, the Maronis, all of them were saying the exact same things about Oz. But hey, man, he's giving me my shot. So that's all I care about. And Vic, you know, who cares about Vic? Because, you know, I'm just like, nobody's going to ask questions. Nobody's going to care that Vic is just gone. You know, what happened to him? He was like right on your hip, you know? It's just, and then like going back to, you know, I liked the after episode thing where basically she was talking about like loyalty doesn't exist because, you know, people think that by pleasing and doing like in this role by doing good and then pleasing that your boss that like they won't ever turn on you. And it's like the whole time Vic thought, you know, he played the game, even the first episode, trying to save him skin. Hey, I can help you. You know, I can be useful. And he thought he proved it. And he did time and time again. But at the very end, that doesn't matter, you know, because Oz is out for Oz, and whatever he's got to do, he's gonna do it. Going to like my Nightcrawler comment, I'm like, at the last second, it's a little too late. Vic knew. He learned the lesson. I mean, what's her name? Gabriella, or whatever, said like nothing good could come from working for a guy like that. He's like, it's not like that. I'm making money, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
yeah, good point.
Poor Vic, man.
Did y'all see that coming?
No, bro. And honestly, I was sick. Because y'all know I rock with Vic. That's my man's. Like,
yeah.
That's
and they like
homie,
recreated the scene from the first episode where they're sitting next to each other and they're not exactly celebrating, but I thought that was his guy.
I didn't even peep that. That's
crazy. Because they were sitting next to each other. You know,
sitting,
and it was like the first episode, they're drinking the slushies finally. And he's like, oh, it's not good, it's great. You know, it's even better, point. You know? And then here they are sitting at night, they're sitting next to each other, and then rewatching the scene, he puts their arm over him, and it's like he comforted him a couple episodes ago, saying you did good, kid, it gets easier, you handled it, you're looking out for his mom. And then, you know, and then like I said, also another thing I brought up is like Oz is very dangerous when you're super close to him, you know, because the way Vic was running in that when he was trying to plant the diamonds in that car, he took off. We talked about it, but when he's right next to Oz and Oz has got his arm around him, like once he's got that grip on you, man, you can't get away.
Yeah, that's a big dude. That's a real big dude. But yeah, man.
No, it was the biggest shock, I think.
That scene, like, because I was actually truly emotionally tied to Vic, I was sorry, bro. Like, because I understood what Penguin was saying. Like I did.
Why?
He in that moment he had truly become a villain. Because because it showed that he really only truly cares for himself. Even to the point where now that his mom is in this vegetative state, because he never had that affirmation from her, he is forcing her to see everything he's doing now to make it so that she can be proud of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just showed, like in that moment, I was like, oh no, you're a villain now. Like, before you were just a bad dude caught up in the mafia. Like, before you were just, now you're like a villain, bro.
Yeah.
Like, now you're a bad guy. Like, straight up, all that other stuff, you made bad choices, you did bad things, but now you're like a villain.
Yep.
And
that's going back on his promise from his mom to take her out if something happened because she didn't want to be, you know.
Yeah.
And he's like, nope, now you're just going to lay in this bed and, hey, I did it, Mom. And I'm like, dude, just.
Yeah, you know, like now it truly, like, because the whole show you think he cares about his wife, or not his wife, he cares about, what's her name? Eve.
I thought he was going to kill her too.
Let's not. I mean, she's back on the hook, but let's not say that she can't be off the hook.
Right.
We don't.
That's bait.
You know what I'm saying? Now. Like, yeah. He's feeling himself, so now they're back on speaking terms. You know, it's just like with this guy, you don't know. You can't be too careful with him. You know, and so it just showed me that like even going back to, you know, going to the councilman, because we talked about it a little bit, but that's what I mean, bro. This guy's a finesser, just like you were talking about, Mike. Like, he went to the councilman, he's buttering him up. He realizes, yeah, I have technically no ties. That's Sophia's car. Those are Maroni's men and Gigante men.
Yeah.
Technically, they don't know who I am.
No.
So I can frame this situation to my benefit.
Yep.
And then fast forward, he's with Sophia. Sophia thinks she's dead.
Yep.
But ultimately, he's just fulfilling a deal he set up so that in the end, he can be on top.
He's smart.
Bro, he's a villain, bro.
He's
and
crazy,
like what you said,
but he's smart.
Villain.
I really like what you said about the like what you, Mike, was saying about the finessing, and that what you were saying about holes and like rats and like, backing himself up to a corner, because you would think that the councilman would have learned better too. Like, he was caught up with Carmine. He said, "Hey man, I paid my debts." He said to Carmine, not to me. And he's like, all right, I'll do it. And now Oz has come to him this information. Hey man, you can go up there, say this story. You get the credit and you can move on up. And he's like, you know what? That does sound pretty nice. And I'm like, dude, you're just getting yourself into more trouble. Like, you just don't learn. Like, he was just pinching your nose a couple episodes ago, and now you're making deals with them. Like, dude,
I bet we could possibly see that dude in part 2. We possibly could.
Oh, we would 1,000,000%
because he's got himself a little bit wrapped in there now.
Yeah,
because he's been entertaining the conversation. Right. He wants that promotion. So
yeah, man. Because I think I think my biggest prediction for Batman Part 2. This is the only one I have. It's I think it was in one of the after episodes, maybe it was this one or an article I was reading or something. I can't remember, but it was about how a lot of Batman villains, and this is like pretty much applicable to superheroes in general, but the villains are kind of created in response to Batman. You know, like if Batman wasn't a thing, none of these villains would have been a thing.
Exactly.
But I think in Batman Part 2, the opposite's going to happen, because one of the biggest or the most common criticism I heard about the Batman was that, like, Bruce Wayne was just, that's not Bruce Wayne, because he's like still sulking and all that. And he's not like the billionaire playboy type that we know him as. But I think Batman is going to have to create Bruce Wayne in response to Penguin, because he's got the money, he's got the status, he's got the suit. So then he's going to be like, how did this guy, like, what's going on? How did he get here? Because a couple of months ago, I was, like Gordon and I, and then it's just like, I can't roll up to, a mayoral party or something at City Hall as Batman, asking him questions, like trying to get information out of him. I need to go in there as Bruce Wayne.
Yep.
And that's how I can, you know what I mean? So I feel like that Bruce Wayne's really going to come out when he sees like the Penguin and all the stuff he's doing. So I think that's my biggest prediction.
I like that.
Yeah,
I do like that too.
I think that's the only prediction I have is that.
Yep. Yeah. I do like that. I really do. That, because I want to see how they evolve Bruce Wayne a little bit. I want to see if we can evolve him just a little bit, just to see him become that. So I like that possible storyline. Oh, that would be cool. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, I mean,
go for it, bro.
Were you gonna say something?
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, so speaking of predictions, we could talk about the end of the episode. We got a lot of some juicy cliffhangers, some juicy little just to reel us in until the movie. I know how they like to do it. We got a fan letter from half sister Selena Kyle.
Yes, that was another one of mine. I thought it was going to happen in the second movie, though, but
we got a little sprinkle. So shout out, Zoe Kravitz. We finna see her again. That's my boo.
I think it's also interesting that we never. I thought we were going to get a voiceover of what was on the letter, but we never get a voiceover and we never see they didn't show the page. It just showed her reaction.
No, I like that way better. Don't even let me know. Don't even give me. Don't even show me a corner, because you know how people be. They gonna pause and they gonna blow it up. Enhance, Jarvis, enhance. Like you know how people be doing, bro.
It said this word, guys. Yeah, that's it's like
I saw a little corner. It's like, all right, bro. We just wait till next year, like everybody else. Relax. No, but I like that. We know what's coming, even though we don't know what's coming. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's just enough to be like, oh, okay, I'm ready for that. You know, so we know that we're going to see Selena Kyle again. We saw the bat signal in the air, so I don't know if that's from the last movie or if that's from something else, because again, the timelines from the last movie and this movie are essentially similar. So I don't know, because at the end of the at the end of the Batman, we see the bat signal, so we don't know if that's the same day. Like, it could be a lot of different things. So it's, you know what I mean? It's cool that we see that, because now all the speculation can start for real.
What do y'all think that letter said?
I think,
because she gave us a little smile. She gave us a little smile with that.
It has to do with finally having somebody else that, unlike Alberto, that understands and like actually having some family. Because she always talked about how horrible the family is and nobody cares, nobody understands. But with Selena, she probably said something about, hey, Carmine killed my mom too. And so that's kind of like a bond. And she's like, whoa, another woman who understands what it's been like for me and understands like the pain of that loss. And so maybe she's like, hey, I would love to meet you one day and whatever. She's like, wow, I'm not completely lost in the world. I have at least one more person who I know I can at least empathize with or have a bond with over the loss of our mothers by this guy that we call father. So I think it's probably something along those lines, because that's why she smiles. It's something, it's like comforting in like the worst situation for her.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that Sophia cares about women. Like, she truly does have a deep love.
Yeah,
like the women in her family, she cares about how women are treated and how women are seen. It's kind of like a theme over the entire season for her. So for her to have somebody that's first and foremost blood, that low key think like her, because what I assume is on there is, look, we're related and we're on the same type of vibe. Whatever you need me to do, I'm down to do out here.
I'm a burglar. I can bust you out.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So Sophia's not dead, which means she's gonna be there in the future. You know?
Yep.
And the fact that she's back in Arkham with Julian, who I guess got his job back.
Maybe
you know what I'm saying?
I'm like, what is this dude?
I guess he's just pulling an Oz, man. He's like, you'll find out. A patient, I was keeping an eye on her. She was crazy. We got to keep her, like, get the bait. Keep her on those drugs and keep her in control.
Yeah, so she's probably living like El Chapo in there once she gets over her depression or whatever, because Julian's gonna make sure she's cool. But yeah. I mean, so we see that her and Julian will probably be cooking up something in Arkham. That's also a potential because they're both there. So it's just a lot, bro. Like, there was a lot in that last little scene. I'm like, okay, I like it.
It was good. It was good tidbits. It keeps you. It obviously doesn't answer. It doesn't answer a lot of questions.
You're
but
right.
It leaves you being like, okay, I'm ready for part 2, or not even just part 2. I'm ready for the future of this whole universe, because apparently they're exploring ideas for a season 2.
Yeah, because I think I would really like that. Because I gotta get. This is probably gonna be the last thing I say before I get off, but.
For sure.
Just how much, like, again, they make you dislike Oz or show who he really is. Because I think first of all, it was just like his whole relationship with his mom. And then at the end, having Eve dress up like his mom and talk to her. I was like, dude, that's just so, like, just creepy. But I think the creepiest or, like, scariest scene for me was, like, right after he kills Vic, that, like, deranged, like, smile that he has on his face. I'm like, this guy is just nuts, man. I feel like the way I would describe it is, like you were saying, a sociopath, or, like, somebody that, like, kind of like needs to kill in order to, or like, like Starlight and the Boys, was it season 2? And then she was like, when she killed people, she was like, I like watching the light go out, you know what I mean? and she was like on that energy. I feel like Oz, like he kind of just gets like high off of like doing that, and he didn't want to choke Vic out, but when he does, and he has that look on his face, like he was like, it wasn't all for nothing. I'm like, dude, this guy is personal. He's just nuts, and I'm like, Bruce, you got to like do something about this guy. I don't know if I want him to go to Argo. I don't know where he needs to go. He just needs to go, and it just makes me excited to see that confrontation finally, whether it's like both as Oz and Bruce Wayne, but also as like Batman and the Penguin, because it's, I mean, going from the beginning, like you said, where he just seems like a nice guy, like he's just down on life, and the city took his brothers, and I can see how that pushed somebody over the edge. No, like, nope, you killed him. You're just a crazy kid and grew up to be a crazy monster of a human being and killing anyone and lying and do whatever you have to get ahead. And the only person that you really care about is like yourself.
Yep.
And it's just like the writing. This show is just phenomenal. I mean, it's been amazing, I think.
Also,
but, I mean, it's also been great, you guys, but I got to get going. But I'll let you finish your thought first. So.
No, I was just like, I love like as it pans out and you see the bat signal. It's like he's comfortable, but he has no idea what's coming.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good note for me to leave on, man.
He thinks he won.
And to end on this note, I think Eve said something like, "The city is yours," and he's like, "Yeah, it's mine for the taking." Because in his eyes, everything is his for the taking. Little does he know, it's a real Batman out there about to start spreading his wings.
I mean, I think he has amnesia because you don't remember Batman flipping your car over and tying you up and just leaving you there, like. Like you went on a whole car chase. He flipped your car,
right?
And then next thing you know, you back out and you're tied up by Gordon and Batman. They just leave you there. It's like, how did you forget?
Man, this guy has he has a clean slate. Yesterday ain't today, baby.
Hey, you know what?
24. We got a new set of 24.
I like that. But it's been great, you guys. It was great talking to you, and I'll see you around.
All right, see you, bro.
Absolutely.
It also just shows like how delusional he low-key kind of was, the fact that he forgot about the Batman, which makes me go and wonder, how long has the Batman been gone? Like, has he like disappeared since that flood and just went quiet and gone silent, and then this stuff just starts popping off, and then they go, okay, Gordon's like, all right, I need to talk to my guy. We got some stuff that we got to straighten out. It makes me ask a little bit of all these questions that I'm excited to see eventually get answered in part 2.
And I think that was done on purpose because I'm not sure who the writers are going to be for the movie. If they're going to keep the same writers, but they have to be working in tandem with the guys that are working on the show.
Easily.
So they have to have some sort of understanding that, in the show, we're not going to show Batman at all. So in the movie, you guys kind of have to explain because it's been at least a few months since this show has taken place. We get to see Sophia come out of jail, Oz rise to power. There's even a little time skip. So we know it's been at least a few months.
Yep.
And so I agree. We have to know what Batman's been doing because ain't no way the city's in shambles. It's the worst it's ever been. And you just go silent for 3 months. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Nah, not at all. What do you think about, I mentioned before, season 2. Do you want it or do you not want it? I don't know. I don't know if I want it.
So for me, I think it depends on how the movie ends, because the show was so. I'll compare it to this. The show was so well done that I think if they do get a season 2, they won't ruin it because there's a lot riding on this franchise already now. Like, this is a new Batman franchise. So there's a lot riding on these shows doing well and the reception because it's already a little bit darker. It's already a little bit different than the Christian Bale version. So people are already a little skeptical. But with how well this show has done and what I'm sure the reception will be, and especially if it wins awards and all that, I think people will be running to go see the Batman knowing that Penguin's going to be in the show or in the movie, I mean. So if there were to be a season 2, I think they should end it with season 2 and kind of have it like Loki, where Loki was 2 seasons and they were both fire. And you kind of just tied up that whole storyline with 2 really, really good seasons, because I believe Loki is the best Marvel show. They had 2 really, really good seasons. And they tied up exactly what they needed to tie up.
Right.
So for me, if they do bring a season 2, I wouldn't be mad at it, but it has to be done as good or better than season 1, and they shouldn't drag it. You feel me? Like don't try to do too much. Just close up the storyline, have 2 really good seasons, and let that be.
I feel that. I agree with all that. I sit in the middle. I'm not sure if I want it, but I'm also okay if it happens, because I think Colin Farrell said that he's in like 5 to 6 scenes of the Batman Part 2. Okay. Which makes me go, okay, he's obviously part of the story, but he's probably not that big part of the story. So I'm wondering if having an extra season in between like the second and third movie, doing that type of thing, could be pretty cool. For the storytelling aspect, we can see more of this character. But I'm also not mad, because I feel like I'm not mad if it doesn't happen, because like what we got was really good, really, really, really good. I couldn't ask for a better 8-episode arc on this character. But they've also talked about other characters, like they talked about the Joker possibly getting a movie, not movie, like a show, or other characters. Is there anybody from this world, this Matt Reeves Batman world, that you would want to see a story from?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Catwoman needs her just desserts. Like she needs,
dude.
Like I've always been a really big fan of Catwoman, because she's just cold. She's always been generally an African American woman.
Yeah.
That's just been. I mean, when you look at Halle Berry, what she did with Catwoman.
Yeah.
And now it's Zoe Kravitz, who is really talented in her own right.
Right.
So it's always been cool for me to see that representation in the comic book world, first and foremost. Yeah. So I would love for her to get her own show. And I think Zoe Kravitz would body it. I mean, she bodied the role in the Batman, so I would love for her to get a show. Yeah, I don't know. And to your point with other people possibly getting shows, I feel like now with these universes, whether it be Marvel or Star Wars, or now, we see it in the DC universe as well, they're going to do this crossover thing. So even if it's season 2 of the Penguin, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, villains pop up. We might see an episode where we get a Selena Kyle crossover. We might get an episode where we see a Mr. Freeze cameo. We might get an episode where we go back to Arkham and then we see the Riddler. So just because it might be season 2 of the Penguin doesn't mean it's season 2 of the, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it could be one of those shows where we get a crossover. So I don't know. It'd be cool. It could go either way. I would love to see Catwoman for sure, but if it was Penguin season 2 and we got cameos from mad other characters, I'd love that as well.
Yep. No, I agree. That would be sweet. I mean, I love everything that they're creating with this world, and the fact that they did so well with the Penguin. Like it gives me high hopes for like the Batman Part 2 and just the rest of the projects that they're creating. Is like they really care and they're really taking a good amount of time to think everything through. It's like Lauren LaFranc said. She said that she had thought about the ending way before she thought about the middle parts. Like she knew how it was going to end before it had all been written out, which is kind of cool. Just to see like they know what point they're trying to get to and that they can flesh the story out to get to that point really, really well. So
as a kid, and I don't know why I did this, and I to this day continue to do this, but I always would read the last page of a book before I'd start the book.
Wow.
Just so I knew what the last page was.
Okay.
And it would never make sense. And sometimes it would kind of just, sometimes it would maybe ruin things, and sometimes it wouldn't. But to this day, I always read the last page of a book. And I understand when artists or when writers know what the ending is going to be. Like, I understand that completely because it kind of gives you like you work backwards. It's kind of like, you know, when you're solving an equation, sometimes you need to go and work like from backwards. And I don't know, this is just always how my brain works. I'd rather work from backwards. Like if I know how to get here, I can kind of reverse engineer it. And you can see it in the show, man. Everything was succinctly put together, and that's what I said. You know, even when Joe was here, like you can kind of follow the story, but there were so many turns in this last episode. It's like, dude, this, you know, these writers took us down a path on a specific reason for us to think certain things about characters, to have a certain frame on certain characters. And then episode 8, we were like, oh, what? That's not at all what I thought, you know? So it's cool that, you know, to hear that because it makes a lot of sense watching the show now.
Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful. Any last thoughts on the Penguin? It's sad. This is it. This is our last Penguin.
Nah, man, it's not sad. It's been a beautiful journey. The show, again, 100 out of 10.
Yeah.
Maybe 101 Dalmatians out of 10. I don't even know, man. This show crazy. I'm not gonna hold you, bro. Like this show really was super dope.
Yep. It was so good. I loved every bit of it.
And for anyone that may be listening and hasn't seen the show or isn't like the biggest comic book fan, like I said earlier, like if you just like mafioso type shows or you like action and suspense, this is good. Just a good sit down and watch.
Yes, it's good. I told the wife she's not super into violent shows and violent stuff, but I told her I was like, she's a counselor, but I told her I was like she would like some of the aspects and the characterizations of the show because I'm like
themes as well,
dude, the trauma, all that stuff, the layers, it's so good. So I agree.
It's deep. Yeah. Like I said, it covers a lot of hard hitting subjects without being too preachy or too over the top. It just, like I said, man, that opening scene, bro. As a mother, like for any mother out there watching the show, I know they probably sympathize with that crazy, like, because for me, I was just like, dude, I have 2 brothers. So if like, so just to imagine what would happen to, you know, like our family if 2 of us was just gone out of nowhere, you know, like, and then as a mom, you know why they gone. And it's like,
it's because of your son.
Yeah. It's heavy. It's so heavy. It's like crazy heavy. It's like, I know this fiction, but somebody writing this from some place.
Look,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
you done heard a story, or you are in that story.
Exactly. But nah, man, it's good, man. It's good. You know, the best writing comes from personal experience. So even if it's not your direct personal experience, you can tell that somebody was writing from a place of care and like understanding, because the scene was just so like, and shout out to the director, because a scene like that can be not done well, you know, and the scene was done really, really well.
Oh yeah. Yep. It can be straight up messy and just not being careful.
Hit the target, you know what I'm saying? Like, the actors don't deliver, and if it doesn't seem genuine, it won't be right. But like I said, the acting is going to be tough come award season, bro. The lead characters, supporting characters, everything about this show, it was top notch.
Yep. Shout out to the whole cast: Colin Farrell, Christine, Milioti, Renzi Feliz, Diedrich O'Connell, Clancy Brown. There's so many people like that worked really hard on this show. Lauren LaFranc, who produced and also was the showrunner and developed the show. Matt Reeves, who also executive produced. Like all the people that really had a hand to this, man. And I know, Corn, you said some people earlier too.
Yeah, just
you shout out some people
8,
too.
But
yes, sir.
You know, from episodes 1 through 8, from set design, art design, cast, crew, everybody rocked it.
Yep, everybody killed it on the show, and I loved it. And we're looking forward to the Batman Part 2. I'm ready. 2026 seems like it's forever away. I mean, because essentially it is, but it'll be here before we know it. So, I think that's about it. on the Penguin, on the Real Table Podcast. Stay tuned. We're under a week away from Wicked and Gladiator Part 2, or Gladiator 2, I should say. And it's about to get crazy. Stay tuned. We're going to do a Gladiator watch episode because I haven't seen Gladiator and I want to watch it before I go into Gladiator Part 2. I need to make sure.
I've been telling you.
I mean, know, at
this point, it's good that it's good. Now you have a reason to watch.
Now I got a reason to watch it, bro. But, I'm going to take care of that. So stay tuned for that. And thank y'all for the love and support. Thank you for tuning in and listening. The viewership has been really consistent over these Penguin episodes, and I appreciate it. I really do. Thank y'all for tuning in. And don't forget to like and share this podcast. Share this with people. You know, people that like the Penguin and they need a podcast to listen to about movies, send them the Real Table Podcast. I love that, and I appreciate that. Corn, my guy, thank you for being on here. I appreciate it, boy. Appreciate it.
Thank you again for having me. This was fun.
Of
Great
course.
watch, man. This show, and I was already super excited for it just based off, all the hype that was leading up to this show. But nah, they over-delivered, and it was highly anticipated, and they somehow still over-delivered.
It was well worth it. Joe, who's not on here, thanks to Joe for being a part of this podcast and doing these episodes. I'm sure we'll get both of y'all back on here sometime soon about doing something. We'll figure it out. But as always, thank you for listening to the Real Table Podcast. And y'all be safe out here. I'll talk to y'all soon. Peace. Once again, thank y'all so much for joining me today on the Real Table Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and even comment. I want to hear your thoughts and I want to hear your opinions. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram at The Real Table Pod and on Twitter at The Real Table. And don't forget to also check me out on therealtable.com for news, articles, and reviews. I will see y'all soon. Peace.